For over 50 years, the moon has been a distant memory for humanity. It's a place we used to go. A silent, cratered world hanging in our sky, holding the last footprints of another generation. For half a century, leaving Earth's orbit to travel into deep space has been the stuff of history books and archival footage. But for 4 trailblazers, that memory is about to become a breathtaking reality. The silence is about to be broken. This is the story of how the weight of history, the dreams of a planet, and the pull of the cosmos are finally sinking in for the crew of Artemis 2. As the launch of Artemis 2 approaches, with a launch window opening on April 1, 2026, a palpable energy surrounds the 4 individuals at the heart of the mission. This isn't just another flight. It's the first time in over 5 decades that human beings will venture beyond the cradle of low Earth orbit and journey toward the moon. They are Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, and mission specialists Christina Koch and Jeremy Hansen. While all are veteran astronauts, this mission is different. It's a voyage that carries the legacy of Apollo and the hopes for a new era of exploration. In recent interviews, a common theme has emerged. After years of rigorous training and abstract planning, the monumental scale of their journey is starting to feel profoundly real. The Trailblazers, a crew for a new generation. The crew of Artemis 2 isn't just a collection of highly skilled professionals. They are a deliberate reflection of what human spaceflight has become. None of them were alive when the Apollo missions wrote the first chapter of lunar exploration. Their paths to this moment were forged in a different era, one where a woman or a person of color traveling to the moon was still a distant dream. Commander Reed Wiseman, a former naval aviator and test pilot, brings focused and calm leadership to the team. Having previously served as chief of the astronaut office, he was deeply involved in the very architecture of the Artemis program, looking ahead to the missions that would eventually land the first woman and the first person of color on the lunar surface. Now, he finds himself at the helm of the mission that paves the way. For Wiseman, a widower and father of 2 teenage daughters, the decision to fly carries immense personal weight. He admits to wrestling with the why of taking such a risk, but finds the answer in the fundamental human drive to explore and to see what lies beyond the next mountain. Pilot Victor Glover will make history as the first person of color to fly on a lunar mission. A decorated U.S. Navy commander and F/A-18 pilot, Glover's journey is a powerful testament to progress. He often reflects on the complex history of his own country, noting that the same nation that once told his grandfather he couldn't fly during the Korean conflict is now sending him to pilot a mission to the moon. For Glover, the mission isn't just about personal achievement, it's about carrying the weight of that history and representing a monumental shift in who gets to reach for the stars. He's described the feeling of his assignment not as simple excitement, but as a sense of profundity, a deep, resonant feeling of being part of something truly big. Mission specialist Christina Koch is no stranger to making history. She holds the record for the longest single spaceflight by a woman, having spent 328 consecutive days aboard the International Space Station. Now, she is set to become the first woman to travel on a lunar mission. Koch's passion for exploration was kindled in her childhood bedroom, its walls adorned with pictures of Antarctica and images from space. She tells a poignant story about her father, who, as a young boy, was told by his mother while looking at the moon, "Don't worry Ronnie, we'll never get there." Decades later, it is his daughter who is making that journey, turning a statement of impossibility into a story of generational triumph. For her, the mission is an answer to humanity's call to explore, and representing a new level of global cooperation in deep space is mission specialist Jeremy Hansen of the Canadian Space Agency. An accomplished former fighter pilot, Hansen's patience has been extraordinary. Selected as an astronaut in 2009, he has waited nearly 14 years for his first flight. He will be the first non-American to ever fly to the moon on a crewed mission. Hansen often speaks with immense pride not just for his country, but for the international partnership that made his seat possible. He emphasizes that America could have gone back to the moon alone, but instead made a deliberate choice to build a global team, an act he defines as true leadership. His presence on Artemis 2 is a direct result of Canada's contribution of the Canadarm3 for the future Lunar Gateway Station, solidifying a partnership that now extends into deep space. The personal stakes, it's starting to feel real. For years, the mission existed as a series of simulations, procedures, and technical documents. But as the hardware came together and the launch date drew closer, the abstract became tangible. The astronauts began to speak about a shift in their own perception. Reed Wiseman has been candid about this transition. He has remarked that he never used to spend much time thinking about the moon, but now, he says, it's all I think about. This mental shift involves reorienting his entire perspective, contemplating things like the phases of the moon from the far side, a viewpoint only 24 humans have ever had. With the massive SLS rocket on the pad at the Kennedy Space Center, the reality of the mission has become undeniable. Things are certainly starting to feel real here at the Cape, the crew has stated. Wiseman described seeing the vehicle and knowing it's going to space, in a hurry. He's spoken of the adrenaline and nerves, but also a sense of calm readiness that comes from years of preparation. For him, the mission is the hardest thing he's ever done, but also the most ridiculously cool. For Victor Glover, the feeling of reality comes with a deep sense of historical responsibility. When he was assigned to the crew, the feeling was one of shock and profundity. As a test pilot who has been in combat, he understands the gravity of the mission beyond the excitement. He carries the stories of those who came before him, recognizing the complicated path that led to this moment. The mission feels real because its implications are real, for his family, for his community, and for the story of human exploration. He has noted that every day of training makes the mission feel more and more real, especially when working with the actual crew and ground teams he'll be with on launch day. He's processing the experience as it happens, feeling profoundly connected to the Earth he is preparing to leave behind. Christina Koch has described the building momentum as a key part of this dawning reality. She noted that while the 4 astronauts bonded quickly, the real shift came as the wider teams, the flight controllers and launch teams, began firing on all cylinders. Solving problems that no one has the answers to, with every person in the room ready to contribute, has solidified the mission's reality for her. The arrival of their families at the Cape just before entering quarantine was another powerful moment, grounding the enormous endeavor in personal connection. Koch sees the moon as a witness plate, an object that every human throughout history has looked up at. The thought of seeing it up close, of being part of that shared history, makes the journey an enormous privilege. It's no longer just a mission objective, it's a personal and collective milestone. Jeremy Hansen's journey has been the longest, a marathon of patience and preparation. After so many years, the mission's reality is setting in with a sense of awe. He has called the experience, a bit unreal still, a testament to the magnitude of the dream he is about to fulfill. For him, the reality is tied to a deep sense of national pride and what it represents for Canada. He hopes to see an example of humanity working together when he and his crewmates look back at Earthrise over the lunar limb. The mission feels real because it validates Canada's can-do attitude and its place on the world stage of exploration. He often jokes that the intense, sort of evil, training simulations, where controllers throw multiple system failures at them at once, are a stark reminder of the very real stakes of their flight. Preparing for the unimaginable, more than just a machine, the training for Artemis 2 is unlike any other. While missions to the International Space Station have a safe harbor nearby and the option to return to Earth in hours, the Artemis 2 crew will be days away from home. This reality has shaped every aspect of their preparation, which Chief Training Officer Jackie Mahaffey calls all-risk mitigation. The goal isn't just for the crew to follow procedures, but to understand the Orion spacecraft so intimately that they can adapt and innovate when things go wrong, far from the real-time help of mission control. Their home for 10 days will be the Orion capsule, a space that Commander Wiseman has likened to setting up a tent at a campsite, but that's all you've got. That's as far as you can go. The crew will live and work in a habitable volume of just over 300 cubic feet. They'll eat shelf-stable food, forego showers, and rely on a meticulously designed life support system. Their training involves mastering every aspect of living in this tin can, from setting up the toilet and water dispenser to operating the exercise flywheel needed to counteract muscle atrophy. But the most critical training happens in the simulators. For months, the crew and flight controllers have run dozens of integrated simulations, troubleshooting everything from minor sensor failures to catastrophic emergencies like a fire or cabin depressurization. The trainers are known for being a little evil, creatively devising scenarios that test the crew's ability to manage competing priorities and make life or death decisions with a communication delay from Earth. This demanding approach is essential. As one flight director noted, while you can't prepare for everything, these simulations teach the team how to adapt to any surprise. Beyond the technical, there is a profound psychological preparation. How do four highly accomplished individuals, all leaders in their own right, forge a bond strong enough to withstand the pressures of deep space? Wiseman describes his leadership style as egalitarian, focused on empowering the unique strengths of each crew member. The crew spends immense time together, not just in simulators but in quiet moments after intense training days, where they talk, laugh, and build the trust that will be their lifeline. They are also keenly aware that they are human science experiments themselves. They will wear sensors to track sleep and stress and will provide regular samples of blood, urine, and saliva to help scientists understand the effects of deep space radiation and isolation on the human body, paving the way for eventual missions to Mars. This includes regular check-ins with psychologists and flight surgeons, part of a comprehensive support system designed to maintain mental health in the most extreme environment imaginable. Looking forward, the legacy of Artemis II is, at its heart, a test flight. It is the second launch of the Massive Space Launch System, SLS, rocket and the very first crewed flight of the Orion spacecraft. The 10-day mission is designed to push the hardware to its limits. After launching from Kennedy Space Center's historic Pad 39B, Orion will orbit the Earth twice as the crew puts its life support, navigation, and communication systems through their paces. They will even perform a simulated docking exercise in Earth orbit to practice maneuvers that will be critical for future missions. Then, they will point their craft toward the Moon. The journey will take them on a free return trajectory, looping around the far side of the Moon. They will travel farther from Earth than any human in history, eclipsing the record set by the Apollo 13 crew in 1970. This flyby is not just for the view. The crew will be conducting detailed observations and photography of the lunar surface to aid in planning for future landing sites. Finally, they will endure a blistering re-entry into Earth's atmosphere at speeds approaching 25,000 miles per hour, a final, crucial test of Orion's heat shield before a splashdown in the Pacific Ocean. The success of this mission is the critical gateway to the future. It's the proving ground for Artemis IV, which aims to land astronauts, including the first woman and first person of color, on the lunar South Pole around 2028. It paves the way for a sustained human presence on the Moon, the construction of a lunar base, and the mining of resources like water ice that could be used for life support and rocket fuel. Everything learned on Artemis II directly informs the next steps in NASA's Moon to Mars strategy. This mission is more than a technical demonstration, it's a mission for all of us. It's a symbol of what we can achieve through international collaboration and sheer determination. As the countdown continues, you can follow the final preparations and get the latest updates on the Artemis blog and NASA's official channels. When Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen look out their window at the Earth rising over the Moon's horizon, they will see a sight that only a handful of humans have ever witnessed. They will be carrying the legacy of the 24 Apollo astronauts who ventured there before them and the aspirations of billions of people watching from that small, blue marble in the distance. Reed Wiseman has said that he hopes, 100 or 200 years from now, the crew of Artemis II is forgotten. Because if they are, it means their mission was a resounding success. It means humanity didn't just visit the Moon again, but stayed. It means we may have humans on Mars, exploring the moons of Saturn, and venturing into the solar system in ways we can barely dream of today. Artemis II is not the destination. It is the first bold step on a journey back to the cosmos, not as visitors, but as explorers returning to the frontier. And for the 4 people leading the way, that incredible, historic, and deeply human journey is finally beginning to feel real.